where common sense is still alive. You're watching Tater Thought.
America runs on the rule of law. We know that. But what happens when a federal judge thinks he's above the highest court? And what happens when the entire Maryland court is out of line? So they're being sued. That's exactly where we are. Judge Brian Murphy and now the entire Maryland federal bench are creating a constitutional crisis, all within one branch of government, regardless of what the media might tell you. The legacy media tells you, oh, well, the executive branch, Trump's overstepping. No, it's these judges who rule from emotion and not law, who are activists, and the ACLU who brings these lawsuits, and the unions and the deep state who bring the lawsuits intentionally in liberal areas, are now creating their own constitutional crisis within their own branch of government. One judge defies the Supreme Court, Brian Murphy, and now the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Justice are suing not just him, but every single judge in Maryland. The stakes couldn't be clearer. So let's back up to the first case with Judge Brian Murphy, barely been in office or on the bench for 6 months. A liberal hack, shouldn't have been there in the first place. In April, Judge Murphy blocked President Trump's plan to deport migrants to what's called so-called third countries, meaning that's not their home nation. Their home nation wouldn't take them back. So Trump said, hey, we'll find a country to take you. You're out of this country. Peace, right? So these weren't just any migrants, okay? Many had serious criminal records: arson, robbery, unaliving people. The administration tried to deport 8 of them to South Sudan, admittedly a country where repatriation is complex and unstable. So he tried to stop it. When DHS tried to deport them anyway, Judge Murphy, accused them of violating his injunction, ordered the migrants, since they're out of the country already, held at a U.S. military base in Djibouti. So now Judge Murphy doesn't only think he's the president, he thinks he's in charge of DHS and who can be deported. And he's also now apparently the Secretary of Defense can order him, hey, you stay on that military base. That alone was unprecedented, but then it escalated. On June 23rd, the Supreme Court stepped in and said, hey, Judge Murphy, 6-3 ruling. No, not happening. We're going to stay your injunction and we're going to greenlight the deportations, let the executive branch do it. And if we have to address it later, we will. But just hours later, Murphy refused to back down. He said the Supreme Court's ruling only applied, and by the way, he's using the dissent, not the majority opinion, which holds, only applied to his April order, not his May one. In other words, you didn't tell me to stop this part, so I just won't. I'm the boss. So now we got one judge who is defying the president in the Supreme Court. For conservatives, this is a red alert. This is a real constitutional crisis. Judicial overreach, rogue district courts, soft on crime activism. This isn't just about the 8 migrants. It's about the future of our constitutional order. The Department of Justice warned that Judge Murphy's ruling disrupts foreign policy, encroaches on the executive's authority and the executive enforcement and the authority of the high court themselves. He's not only usurping the authority of the president, he's usurping the authority of the Supreme Court, who's his boss. Because if lower courts can ignore the Supreme Court today, what's next? We have a total breakdown of the judicial hierarchy. Is there even a point of judges? Congress controls it. So there's 5 ways that I can see that President Trump is fighting back and his team are fighting back. One, they've already said, hey, Supreme Court, we need clarification. It's called clarification from SCOTUS. It's already underway. Department of Justice wants the court to state clearly Judge Murphy's orders are invalid. Stop. Cease, desist. Then they're also fighting through contempt of reassignment. Department of Justice may ask the appellate court to remove Judge Murphy from the case altogether permanently, since he's already gone rogue, not only against the executive branch, but also the judicial branch. There's also judicial discipline. House Republicans could launch misconduct inquiries, or they've already been talking about impeachment of some judge, like Judge Boasberg, another liberal activist. Now, with that, we would have to get rid of the filibuster, or people need to get off their butts, and might even happen where we actually increase our majorities in both the House and the Senate, especially in the Senate. And that would also take legislation. If we could get control of the Senate, a bigger control of the Senate, or some of these Democrats would quit kowtowing to the worst, most unpopular issues and cross the aisle and vote with us, we could revive efforts to limit single judge injunctions. And then, of course, political messaging. I mean, Trump has been awesome this term, and we've benefited because every single cause that's unpopular in America, the Democrats for some reason are dying on that hill. Let's use this crisis to rally support for judicial reform and immigration enforcement. Well, that was bad enough, Judge Murphy. The fight didn't stop there though, because today the Department of Homeland Security and the DOJ escalated things dramatically. Today, June 25th, the Trump administration has filed a lawsuit against all 15 judges, all federal judges in the U.S. District Court for Maryland. Yep, all of them. It's going to go to, they're asking either the appeals court to take over the case and hear their case or assign a district judge from out of the area, randomly selected, so that they can hear this case against all of them, because all those judges had to recuse themselves. What they're challenging is a May standing order. Now, it's bad enough when a case comes before a judge and then they do a nationwide injunction. That's a case in controversy that's currently before the court has already happened. Nope. But the chief judge of the Maryland district says, hey, we got a standing order. And that standing order automatically pauses all deportations for 2 business days anytime a migrant files a habeas petition. So if they're in jail in Alaska and somehow get a habeas petition down to Maryland, automatic 2-day stay, which times that by hundreds or thousands, that's a big delay for the administration. And the pause kicks in immediately, even on weekends or after hours, which stalls the ICE operations and causes legal chaos. It clogs it all up at the court. Oh, by the way, the 2 business days just to see if they're going to grant them a hearing, which the liberals probably will. And then we have to go through a hearing for all these people. President Biden allowed 15 million, 20 million people in the country without a hearing. And now we got to have a single hearing for every one of them. This is where the Supreme Court needs to step in and Congress needs to do their job. The Department of Justice, right, calls it an egregious example of judicial overreach. They want the order vacated. They want the judges disqualified. A lot of people say it's a legal Hail Mary, but it does send the message the executive branch is not going to tolerate courts writing their own immigration policy. Why does it matter? Because this could become a national precedent. If one district can issue blanket deportation pauses, so can others. And then our immigration enforcement system is done. And why do they want it? Read other liberal areas have fast tracked or tried to fast track citizenship for all these migrants so that they become permanent voters for them. It's a real thing. Call it conspiracy theory all you want. Rightfully, the administration says that it violates federal statutes, Supreme Court precedent like Niken versus Holder, and also undermines immigration law enforcement. In short, it's another judicial power grab, and this time, Trump has had enough. Second term, he installed great people at DHS and DOJ. His cabinet is awesome, and they're going nuclear. So now we have 2 major constitutional clashes. 1, a district judge defying the Supreme Court of the United States, and 2, an entire federal bench being sued by the Department of Homeland Security. What are the outcomes? Well, hopefully, Supreme Court will grab its cojones and reaffirm its supremacy. And really, before it even gets to that, the Fourth Circuit may dissolve the Maryland order altogether. Congress may step in with reforms. It's going to be tough. And Trump's Department of Justice, well, they're definitely not backing down. That's why I love him. Bottom line is, if you believe in the Constitution and borders and accountability, this is the moment that we as conservatives need to continue to speak up. Judges do not get to override national policy on a whim. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Stay informed. Stay free. The fight has just begun. And those have been Tater's thoughts.